There is the assumption that we as human beings consist of these three things: the mind, the body, and the soul, or spirit. Now, this is my illustration of how I see and experience it. We as human beings usually live and operate from the mind dimension. If I'm going to ask you, who are you? You most probably are going to answer from the mind perspective. Your name, your age, your occupation, what you have achieved, and so on. Little do we know that this doesn't say anything about who we really are. Our mind is also the place where the misery starts. On a global scale, have a look at the state of humanity and what is happening in this world. They got money for wars but can't feed the poor, as Tupac already said. Not only in the present but throughout human history. Of course, it's not all pitch black, but there's war, hate, and in particular, separation present in this world. Sometimes more, sometimes less. On an individual scale, we are identified with the thoughts running through our heads. Whatever our mind is thinking, we automatically believe it. This is ego. Our mind is conditioned to dwell in a negative state. We doubt ourselves, we worry, we overthink. There's no one able to tell me that his own thoughts weren't dragging him down at some point. For some humans, this represents their constant state of being in life. When we are identified with our thoughts, and that's what we usually are, the mind is in control. It has the control over us. We become our thoughts. A guy named Laird Hamilton once said, "Make sure your worst enemy is not living between your own two ears." And I also would like to add an African proverb in this regard. When there is no enemy within, the enemy outside cannot hurt you. The worst enemy is not something or someone on the outside. It's something self-made. But we didn't choose to create it for ourselves on purpose. It's more a general condition we as human beings find ourselves in. The ultimate goal for humanity is to become free of this identification and come back to the actual source that we are and were before entering this human experience and will be when leaving this place again. When you become aware of your thoughts, you break the identification with the ego. You create space for what is called the divine intelligence, your soul, the universe, God. Eckhart Tolle refers to it as consciousness. However you might call it, it all points to the same direction. When there was overthinking, fear, and worry before, there's now trust, peace, and divine knowing when you break the identification with the ego. You know that in whatever situation you find yourself in the outer world, at this given moment, it is right where you're meant to be. In this state, there's no place for separation. There's just love, peace, joy, trust, harmony. This is who you really are. So, if I'm asking you once again, who are you? What is your answer going to be?